and you should evaluate people on your team and your clients based on this. Would we want to hang out with them at our house?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the easiest thing. Like, do they believe in the same thing?
So it's okay to make fun of you, right?
Well, of course. I mean,
okay, good. Just making sure.
I can make fun of you with the stash.
I'm making sure we're being real.
When's the wife going to make you remove that?
Oh, she said she was going to have a handwritten note waiting for me when I got home from the airport last night with a razor next to it, but she forgot to do it before she fell asleep.
You know, we just got back from the experience. And for all of you, Darby really doesn't usually have a Doc Holliday mustache, but he grew it out for the agency experience that we just got back from Colorado. So
I think the best part about the whole thing was actually half the people there didn't even realize it was me for the first, like, when they first approached me or saw me from the vehicle. There's this conversation around, who is that guy? I have no idea. I've never seen him on a call. And it was like this weird intruder had invaded the experience. And then they realized it was me. And it was like it was kind of fun, actually. Like it gave a nice little something extra to the experience.
You know, we did have that meeting before, and, and people are like, who is that guy with the mustache? And even there, that was pretty funny. What'd you think of the experience? This is your third one? Is that
Correct.
right?
Yep. It was my third, second one at the ranch.
That's right.
It was the best. You know, each experience has been good, right? So, you know, you don't want to have that favorite child kind of thing, right? Oh, this is my favorite. Because then the other children are, you know, started, well, what do you mean? But it was unique. It was there. I don't even know how really to put it into words, but there was just such an overwhelming sense of comfort for, I think, every person there, right? Every single person that was there interacted with every other person there. And there was just so much going on the entire time between the members. And it was really refreshing and exciting to see. And in my conversations with the members, how much they each took away, right? They each kind of came to this with an expectation of what they wanted to get out of it or what they thought that they needed. And every single one that I spoke to got that and monumentally more than they expected.
What do you think when they originally talked to you? What do you think they thought they needed?
I think often the times, or a lot of the time, they don't know what they need. And that's a big part of the reason why they are on a call with me or they're wanting to hang out with us. And, you know, they have just so many questions and know where to get those answers. And I think that's where we fill a nice little void.
Yeah. You know, we opened up kind of one of the questions that we asked was, you know, what would an agency that bought you today, what would they do tomorrow? And like, I felt like a lot of the theme around that was either removing some bad blood from the agency or finding that who around that. Did you sense that too?
Absolutely. Everybody kind of had a little moment of reflection or realization at that point, because you could see the question was a tough question for each of them, right? To really look at themselves and their own business in a different light. And it's a tough thing to accept or grasp sometimes. And a lot of times it's just an affirmation of what you already know, right? Like Mike, for example, he knows that he needs the marketing of his agency and somebody else telling his story off of his plate. And, you know, I liken it to therapy in a lot of ways. You know, I've been in therapy, you know, for things. And there's a different way that something hits you when you're forced to say it out loud, especially in front of other people, right? Because you know it and you feel it and it eats at you all the time. But when you're forced to actually vocalize that in a forum, it really connects with you on an emotional level and internally in a different way. And I think that's good because it forces people into action.
Well, I mean, the vocalizing, I totally agree with. And like half the time, you remember, like there was part of our time together. I asked everybody, I said, I want you to ask your team this. What do you want to start or a start? I'm like trying to put start and stop together. what do you want to start? What does your team think you need to start doing? What do they need to want you to stop doing? And what do you want your team to say, continue doing? And I had them ask the team and then come back the next day of going like, hey, this is what, and it was kind of funny. When we got around to you and Stacy, and you were like, we need a 24-hour rule. And I think this would apply to I think it would apply to a lot of people listening, because a lot of people listening are very impulsive. We started these agencies and this business because we're like, oh, we have an idea, we'll go start it. So tell us more about that.
So for those of you listening, I am our scale specialist. Stacy is our director of happiness, and we are the people tasked with keeping Jason in check. And it's a challenge on a daily basis. And as you might imagine, Jason is a doer. Jason has an idea and we do it and we go. And usually they're good. And usually they work out.
Sometimes. But you use the example. Use the example at the at the ranch that we that actually proves the point about
which one. You lost me. Which one?
The one about, you remember Grant was telling me.
Oh yes, yeah, okay, yes. Yeah. So Jason comes up to me over coffee at 7 a.m. The first morning, and he says, Grant had this idea that we need to start using the term marketing company instead of agency more. We need to switch everything to marketing company. So I went through and I changed everything in all of our website and all of our communications and everything to remove the word agency and use the word marketing company now. And then I talked to a couple of the members here and they said, no, that doesn't make sense. So then I had to go back and change it all back. And this is all before 7 a.m., right? So this is just an example of Jason's maybe impulsive behavior sometimes, because
no, I would say impulsive. Yeah, it's definitely impulsive. But you said something that really stuck to me at the meeting, is like the 24-hour rule. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So when we were talking about, start, stop, keep for your business, obviously Stacy and I were involved in the conversation as well. And we're very transparent about our organization with our members. We aren't the type of people who put on airs or pretend we're something we're not. We're very direct and honest with people in the group that there are times we don't take our own medicine, that we are just as guilty of not following the advice and guidance that we give sometimes. And that's something that Jason and I often laugh about together, that, what the hell are we doing? This is something we tell people to do all the time, but we're not really shining examples of this. And then we fix it and we improve from it. So it's funny how what we do helps us get better too. But, we got to Stacy, and Stacy and I were both instantly on, when it comes to what should we stop, it was, the idea department is always open for business, and the shiny object often gets the most attention, and changes are made quickly around here. And so Stacy and I were both, very, we chimed right in with, Jason has got to just pump the brakes a little bit when it comes to ideas and allow us to digest things and really make firm decisions. But I will share too, that I think that's a big part of the reason that we're successful. So, I use Samir as an example when I'm talking to prospects sometimes, that I think a big reason he has so much success with this is because he doesn't let implementation be delayed, right? He's pragmatic in the way that he goes about things, but he gets things done. He doesn't mess around with overthinking and overanalyzing and making sure it's perfect. It's like, hey, here's a good idea. We put some thought behind it. Let's go. And then we can make adjustments along the way. And I think that's a very important aspect to what we do and what our members do, is not getting caught up in the minutia of perfection and delaying implementation, which can hold you back.
Yeah, I mean, if you delay it, you're gonna move on to the next thing. That's how I always looked at it.
At least more than 24 hours. You got to delay a little bit.
Correct. But I liked your rule of like, at least let's think about it for 24 hours and then make the decision to pull the trigger and going, all right, we're gonna change. I mean, kind of like we were over, and I was at my mother-in-law's 2 years ago, I think, over the holidays. And I didn't tell Darby or Stacy. I literally was like, the brand's been built, jasonswank.com and Smart Agency, Masterclass podcast. I was like, you know what? We talk a lot about mastering your agency. So, this domain name, Agency Mastery and 360, so we can look all around. It's like, I'm going to buy it. And, you know what? I'm going to redesign a whole new website and go do it. And then we had our Tuesday morning meetings. I was like, hey guys, here's the new website.
I don't even think you waited until then, if I remember correctly. I think I might have gotten a phone call from you, on like a Thursday, 2 days before Christmas or something, and saying, oh, hey, I had this idea. And then I did it all. What do you think?
Yeah.
And we completely rebranded within a matter of a week over the Christmas holiday. And it worked. I mean, it was a good decision in hindsight, and it was fantastic. But it's a great example of, idea to execution in rapid time.
Yeah. What do you think went really well at the experience?
Everything. That was what was crazy to me. When these things are not easy to pull off, they're tough. And when you're dealing with 23 people, the vast majority of which have never met in person, some of which have never really spoken in any capacity because they're in different call groups or they just haven't had interactions. And you put all these people together in one little place, and there's a lot of uncertainty in that, with personalities and how things go. And it just came off so well. Like, I've been thinking about how I want to post about this on LinkedIn since, the entire plane ride back last night, and just how meaningful it was to me. I told a couple people there, I think I have a little bit of a head start on this because I spend probably more time with each of the people in the group on a one-on-one basis than anyone else, right? For the most part, because they come through me, they spend 90 minutes on a blueprint call with me. I really get to know these people pretty well before they come in, which gives me a distinct advantage. And so then to have this opportunity to sit down with them and share a meal and share a drink around the campfire and talk about parenting and talking about,
Dude, that campfire got crazy. I'm just going to leave it. It's amazing when you can get, like we were talking a little bit about this yesterday, I think, when you get people around a campfire, especially 30, 40-year-old people, we turn into our high school self, right?
Which is not a stretch for you.
That is not a stretch for me, but for others, I think it's really pretty cool to see kind of everybody's guard go down. Like, the thing,
and there were some people that had no guard from the start.
Yes, you know who you are, Katie.
MVP of the event without question.
Or
MVP.
Sonia, the best bullshitter. And the funny part about that was, for everybody, I'm going to kind of set it up. Sonia has so much energy, and just is like, she walks in a room and people like pay attention because, it just of her personality. And when we gave her the best fireside bullshitter, and it was like a little buffalo award, like bull, what did she say to you?
A little time had passed. We were eating dinner at the same table together when we did the awards that night. And, I was a few seats down from her. And Sonia and I have a pretty strong personal connection. She and I have bonded a lot after I met her on the very first experience, where, at your house 3 years ago. And she and I have just been super close ever since. We just hit it off. And so she trusts me. At least I think she does. I'm pretty sure she does. And so she's like, Darby, was this a good thing? Is this a good award? Because I think it caught her off guard. And I was like, absolutely. It doesn't mean you're full of shit. It just means you're good at shooting the shit, which I think gave her some comfort. And it certainly, I adore her. And when you say energy, you're right. And positive energy needs to be added into that, because she is a beacon of positivity at all times. Like, she is a ray of sunshine anywhere she goes. And I absolutely love her.
You know what? And it's amazing to see her transformation from the first experience, right? Do you remember, like, she came to the first experience, and I remember her talking about, I want to get to the next level, but I'm working around the clock. I don't have the freedom that I want. And I remember we asked her a very specific question. Well, do you trust your team? And she couldn't answer that. And she was so in it. And I remember hiding her laptop from her so she couldn't work anymore. And then to see kind of the transformation now, she has 3
Three,
agencies
three, yes.
that are running themselves.
And the main agency is she's essentially out of entirely. She
Yeah.
shared that,
And she's
that
talking about
thing.
going on Viking cruises like all the time,
Yep.
which she gets business from, which is amazing. I was
Yep.
like, I never thought about an outbound strategy of going, I'm going to go on a Viking cruise where all these rich people are hanging out, and then go, oh yeah, we do marketing, we do this. And they'll be like, oh, can you help me? Like, I was like, that's brilliant.
Yeah. It's lovely when your vacation more than pays for itself and it's a write-off. That's a win-win.
Oh yeah. I like the write-off. What and particularly the thing that my favorite thing is obviously connecting with everybody, but you know what I love that happens at the experiences where meeting for a short time, relative short time in the morning, to get everybody connected, to get everybody thinking about different things, and then we break and to have lunch together, and then go ride horses along 2,000 bison, with the views that we had. Like, that was part of my favorite. And then the second day, kind of coming back and going like, let's recap. What about the conversations? And then what did your team say? And then breaking up into small, groups based on where they're wanting to go, and going, hey, you need help with marketing? Go here. You need help with sales? Let's go here. And then riding on the sand dunes. It was just, I was trying to think when I was riding back yesterday with Grant, I was asking him, I was like, what would you change? He goes, I don't know. Like, and I was trying to think too, because I'm always trying to debrief of going, what would I change? I'm like, I don't know either. Is there anything that you would change?
I hadn't thought about it, but just initially, no, I can't think of anything I would change. I love that. I do want to try a new venue. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, we have no choice.
We're being forced to do a new venue.
Yes, exactly. But so I'll share. My favorite part is the meals. Honestly, my fat ass, it would be the meals. But there's something to be said for.
They didn't have the potatoes from last year, though.
I know. They have a different chef now. But honestly, food was better this year. The food,
I think so too.
Crushed it on the food. But when you're sitting at a big table with a bunch of people and you're passing dishes around like a family, that family style meal dynamic, one, the incredible food, two, just having that little element, I think, just breaks down barriers and walls, and it just makes things just very comfortable. It's a very comfortable style. And so you're getting to, 3 meals a day. You're always talking to somebody different, meal to meal. At no point in time did I see the same people gravitating towards each other meal after meal, or around the fires, or on horseback. Yeah. It was just, and that was the cool thing to see, is everybody just being themselves and being open and connecting with everyone.
And you know why? It really comes down to, and I think agencies and businesses can apply this to everything that they do. It's all about figuring out what is your core value, and then what's your team core value, and making sure they believe in all of that, right? Like, me and Stacy, we all believe in the same thing, like being resourceful, having fun, sharing, like our value.
Ourselves too seriously.
Yeah, like making fun, playing pranks on each other, right? Yes. Just messing with each other. And two, I think, when you started 3 years ago, I can't remember. It's been 3 years, right? Coming
almost on. 2.5 technically, but yeah, I'm in my third year.
I just lose track of time. Like, the kids are older now. I'm like, I don't even know how old I
am. Thing.
Yeah, exactly. But, I remember telling you when we did the first experience you came to, I was like, we basically evaluate people, and you should evaluate people on your team and your clients based on this. Would we want to hang out with them at our house? Mm-hmm. Like, that's the easiest thing. Like, do they believe in the same thing? And I think if businesses did this more with their team, rather than hiring that hotshot designer or that hotshot developer that's an asshole, it's like, I don't want to hang out with an asshole that can do the work. I'd rather hang out with the person that can do the work great. And I want to touch on that topic that Bear brought up. I thought that was really good. You remember the good to great?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was good. But I'd rather hang out with someone that believes in, and I think there's a difference between they are my twin and they believe in the same things. Do you agree with that?
how many times are we on a group call where a member pipes in and says, hey, I've got a problem. I've got this person on my team. They do amazing work. They're so great at what they do, but they're an asshole. And the team can't stand them, but I don't know what to do because when all of their work is so great, but there's other people out there that do great work that aren't assholes. And I think people get so, it's hard to find people, right? I mean, it's the biggest challenge I think that everybody struggles with.
That was really the theme, is people. If you think about it, that was the theme of the whole thing.
But it happens all the time, right? I've got this asshole on my team and they're bringing the team down and they're a cancer to the team and I don't know what to do. And what's our response every time? Fucking fire them, right?
And their biggest objection is that, and I think everyone listening to that is, if I fire them, that means more work for me in the short term.
Yeah, but guess what? When they spread cancer across your business and then you lose half your team, that's way more work for you when you lose 4 people at the expense of 1 because they're a jerk.
Yeah. Bear brought up a great thing when we were going around. And it really kind of changed my mentality too of some certain things. Like, I've always felt like I've done before a good job at only posting the best episodes, like when I interview a guest. Mm-hmm. But Bear, one of our members, and that's the other cool thing too. Bear was in our first mastermind I created years ago and came back. So we need to talk about that a little bit, because I think that's cool for people to think about strategies about that, because I like what you do on that part. But he talked about, I told my team, I was like, hey, is this good? And the team would be like, yeah, this is good. Be like, okay, well, if good is bad, how can we get to the great? Am I saying that right? Or am I messing that up? Like, great is good is bad. And if you change well, go ahead. Talk about the pogo horse too. Or
exactly. You cannot say the word hobby horse to save your life.
It's my old age. I can't remember.
You're going to have to get 2 tattoos. You're going to have to get tattoos of hobby horse and a tattoo of dick beaters. Inside joke. Bear really struck a chord with that. And it's funny because, Ian's always had those shirts that, good is the enemy of great, right? Yep. And it resonated with me this year. I feel pretty confident what I do with our prospects and our members and my contributions to the group as a whole. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't categorize it as great. And it made me really think, because there's a lot of things that I could and should be doing and things that I know I need to do. And I think all of us feel this way, right? I know Audra feels this way. I know lots of people feel this way, that there's things I want to do, but I'm a human being. And at the end of the day, it's hard sometimes to push myself outside of my comfort zone. And that's where great happens. And that's the hardest thing to do, is to push yourself into those things that take the extra effort sometimes or make you a little uncomfortable. That's where greatness lies. And, having other people around you to push you to that is the key for me, because it's really difficult. So it was nice to just have that added perspective and to make me be a little more introspective in terms of what I'm doing in those areas that I know I could do a little bit better, and now taking action to do something about it.
Yeah. I mean, if you just ask yourself this, is it good or is it great? It's a really easy question. Mm-hmm. And have your team and train your team. That was the game changer for Bear. He trained his team to think that way, not just him. Because, we always preach, it's like, we're not just going to help you out. We want to help your team. Like, how do we make it easier for you? How do we elevate that team? And if that team can think about, man, is then good or is it great? And then they can,
and honestly, if you can get the buy-in on that from the team, that's where you as the owner find the exit doors, right? Because now you can trust the team to make those decisions without you, because they have a benchmark of great is the minimum acceptable standard. And if there's a mentality around that from especially the leadership, but then on down into execution and each and every member of the team, that's where you really have that freedom to say, all right, cool. Now I can comfortably and confidently start to focus on bigger picture shit, like developing partnerships and those things that you as the founder do better than anyone else, and where your time and value is truly the most well spent.
Well, and the team can call you on your bullshit.
No shortage of that around here.
Right? Like, it's just like, I mean, I always laugh, like after we get after, we'll have our mastermind calls, and for everyone listening, like we'll have a mastermind call, and immediately after I either call Darby or Stacy, and I'm like, shit, like I gave great advice, but we're not doing it.
And like, it goes back to what we talked about earlier, right? Taking our own medicine.
Yeah. But it's also too of like, a lot of times I'll say, hey, let's do it this way. And then you guys will be like, well, is this, before we had the good to great, we'd be like, well, is this right? But now we can be like, is it great or is it good? Like, good is under the par.
Let's take 24 hours and think about, is this great? That's the rule. That. That's the new rule.
That's the new rule. We literally, Darby just came out of his ass. He made it up right now. So, all right, to the camera, I will promise we will decide after 24 hours if it's great.
And it's documented. This is fantastic.
Shit.
Stacy's going to be very, very happy.
Well, we need to show Stacy's video too of the campfire when she's like, the fucking the fucking department is closed.
All right, take 3. Try again.
The fucking idea department is closed. Did I get that? Yeah,
you did it. You got it. Yes.
So
no, the video, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. What happens at the campfire sort of stays at the campfire.
Yes. Well, so. For a lot of those discussions, and you have to just come to the experience to experience those conversations, and any other things that we do.
Well, sometimes it's never the one that you would expect.
And
then sometimes it's exactly the one that you would expect.
It's always, yeah, that is true. We knew kind of the troublemaker, the fun maker.
Yeah, troublemaker is not the right word, but
yeah, not the troublemaker.
No,
we knew the fun maker. I think that's a better word for those certain people. And then some of the ones are very surprising. They just come out of the blue, and you're like, "What? Where? No, that come out of? Did they just say that?" So that was pretty fun.
It's strange to me how male genitalia becomes a dominant part of the campfire conversation both years. It's strange, right? Because it totally did. Did you realize that?
And like for all of you, just I know Darby and I are 2 males, but there was almost a 50-50 split between women and men. So don't think this is the bro conversations. Like,
not quite.
The women were way more.
They were the one leading the charge both times.
They
initiated the conversation around those parts both times, and it took off.
And I was just sitting there going, "Oh my gosh!" Like I was turning bright red.
I do want to touch on that quickly though, because there were a few people that just really expressed how much impact and how important for them it was as female agency owners to have a place to be able to connect and feel at home and be in, I heard the word safe space used several times, which I know is kind of a buzzy word, but it's, man, that's the biggest compliment that in my mind, just to know that, we have such an eclectic group that, that's kind of honestly where my mind's been around this LinkedIn post that I'm trying to put together in my mind about, how it's so important for us that all agency owners, as long as you're kind and as long as you're a giving, sharing, vulnerable, transparent, and honest person, you have a place to go where you can be around similar people, no matter who you are or where you come from. And that's, I think, something that I feel makes us great, because I feel that we are great. I don't feel we're good. I feel that we're great, but that doesn't mean we're stopping.
Yep, exactly. No, it's always like Drew, right? Like he's been to every experience. This is his 5th experience. And every year we always ask and interview him. He's like, this is even better. And he was saying that to other people, not just us, right? And
he would let us know.
And definitely
he would let us know.
Definitely like, hey, dude. We're like, hey, I got you, man. Like we'll do it. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Like what I tell people too is once you can experience something like this, then you can kind of take it back to your own team and you can even do it for your clients. I mean, there's so many agencies right now that are virtual and they've got away from, the meeting in the office and the banter that goes back and forth when you're in person. But if you can create an experience for them that lets them grow, that lets them know the start, stop, and continue for you, and then their team does that for them, it's that much better. I hope that's what a lot of our members take away from it of going, hey, this was a really good format. Like I wouldn't change anything. How can we do that for our team?
And I feel it's kind of a mind fuck because when I think about it, right, I can't think of anything that I would change as the days come and pass in the coming week. There might be some things that come up, but just over the course of the days that we were there and the plane ride home and up until now, I really can't think of much that I would change. But at the same time, there's got to be something, right? Because
always,
that's the aspiration to be great is knowing that there's always something that we can do a little bit better. But that's also the great part about having the members that we have is they'll let us know. They will without a doubt let us know if there's something that it would be.
Well, let's wrap it up and let us know if you guys like this new format. It's just us chatting. I think we're gonna do this a lot more. We're just gonna look at people's content, and I think we're gonna look more at the positive content out there.
Yes, no doubt.
Rather than the negative. We've posted some of that. We've all got those bad bullshit ads out there. I don't need to call them out anymore. But I think I want to, like, if you guys have particular topics that you guys want to hear more on, or, hey, what do you guys think on this? That's what this show's for. So
I agree. I'm all for that, man. Like I saw a guy that's actually I scheduled to come on the podcast with you. He's an agency out of the UK and he wrote this incredible post on LinkedIn and it was a farewell to one of his team members who had an opportunity and taken an opportunity at a new agency. And it was a great growth opportunity for them. And just the heartfelt sentiment that he put into this post, it was incredible. And so I think those are the kind of things that, I want to shine the light on that. Hey, this is how you do it, right? This is an example of the right thing. And so I love that. So that's
cool. Yeah. Well, make sure you guys follow us on social media. This is a YouTube channel as well as a podcast. So wherever the medium is, make sure you go there. Make sure you connect. I am Jason Swenk and you are
Darby Copenhaver.
Connect with us on LinkedIn and Instagram and whatever social platforms you guys are at. And if you guys ever need help with your agency, reach out to us. We'll schedule a clarity call where we look at your agency, look where you're trying to go, where you're at now, and see if we can actually help you out, and we'll point you in the right direction. And sometimes when we point you in the right direction, it's not using us. It's the resource I wish I had. I'll just leave it at that, rather than a resource just to make us money.
You can come help us make fun of Jason. It happens every year. Jason embarrasses very easily, which is the great thing about it. And his face gets red. It's not hard to do. And
it didn't turn into a roast like last year. Last year was kind of a roast. I was like, damn, man, I need to get out of here.
But it was a positive roast, which was funny thing. Everybody's, Jason's so good looking and his blue eyes.
And that's when that is a bad roast.
He gets he wanted to crawl under the fucking table. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I think I turned bright red like an apple.
You did.
And that's why I can't tell people because then they have to come to the next experience how I scare people. So it's good in fall. It wouldn't work any other time.
Nope. Yeah. Oh, and speaking of which, so for those of you that aren't members, you can still come have fun too. Stay tuned. We have some good things on the horizon.
Yep.
We have so much fun when we do these, and they're so meaningful and beneficial. We're finding ways to do more, and they're in the works. So keep your ears and eyes opened. There'll be a time where anybody who's listening can come goof around with us sometime in the very, very near future.
Yep. And you can make fun of all of us and make fun of yourself. It's when you can make fun of yourself, it's a lot of fun. So cool.
There will be no mustache. The mustache is only for the ranch.
Oh, I know. I'm so disappointed.
Say goodbye.
Grant's disappointed. He thinks it's your brand now.
I know, but you know,
The wife.
my wife and
Happy
daughter,
wife,
my wife
happy
and
life.
daughter have a little more, a little more say in that.
That's right. All right. Cool. Well, everyone, make sure you guys subscribe, hit us up, and till next time, have a swank day.